so today's 7 on Sunday. Really excited about this week's topic because we're going to be talking about hyped books that we have forgotten about. At first I actually thought the theme meant though that you were meant to talk about books you haven't read yet that were really hyped and you forgot about, kind of like the fact that they've been on your TBR for so long, but it's about books you have read. But it's weird though because I'm not going to forget about the books that I read, but I guess I'm gonna have to pick books anyway, so it's like a little bit of a hard one, but I'm still excited about it because it's such a weird topic. But if you didn't know, 7 on Sunday is like a weekly video prompting idea that's been created by Grace over at G-Swizzel, so I will link her down below as well as the Goodreads page so you can check out all that information. But basically you make a video or a blog post or however format you want to do it where you talk about 7 of your favorite or least favorite of a certain topic, and all the topics are on Goodreads so you can check that stuff out. But let's get into this video and talk about hyped books I don't remember. I'm actually going to take one of the examples and talk about Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard because this book was overhyped for shiz and I was so for it at the time because I loved Red Queen and I was stand by my love of Red Queen even though the other 3 books were so bad. The second one is the worst thing I feel like I've ever read because it was so bad, but then the 3rd and the 4th book got a little bit better, but Red Queen was the best out of the whole thing and I had so much fun with it. But I also feel like at the time my reading taste wasn't like as elaborate as it is now, so if I was to read Red Queen now as a fresh book I'd probably hate it because it is one of those books that's so tropey and stupid and dumb. But definitely the twist that you get in this book is still going to be one of my top plot twists, so there is some nostalgia here for this book, but I feel like the part that I forget about is how bad the sequels are. The next book I want to talk about is The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid because I feel like a lot of people were talking about this book when it first came out. Like, this was a popular book and I read it when it first came out because I think one of the book clubs I was in picked it and I really enjoyed it, but then we didn't get the sequel for like 2 or 3 years and I do have The Empress sitting on my shelf, and like now we're getting the 3rd book or something and it's just like there's no hype for it at all, and I do feel like this is one that I generally forget about. Like, I enjoyed it, it was a fun sci-fi, but no one talks about it anymore because we all thought it was going to be a standalone and then it turned into a trilogy and we're like, we don't know where it's going to go. And like, I don't know if I'm actually ever going to read that book. Like, I have it, but like, I just don't know. The next book I want to talk about is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Like, I feel like this book is still hyped. Like, the 3rd book only just came out and we're also getting the 4th book at some time, but I definitely feel like the thing that I'm trying to forget about is the 6 million cover changes that have happened because I did buy this edition off eBay to get it to match, and then they changed the covers again and it's really annoying, and this edition isn't like in the best condition, so it's like, wow, I just spent my money on something that I probably don't need because I've only read the first one and I own the next 2 and I just don't know. I really don't know if I'm actually going to end up reading these or not. Like, I might have to get rid of my editions, but I do feel like these books get hyped with each book that gets released, but then no one talks about it, and again, I just feel like this is one that I just leave there and I try not to think about it, and I just don't really know where I'm at with reading the sequels at the moment, and I feel like money got wasted. The next book I want to talk about is WeRealize by E. Lockhart. Like, everyone lost their shit over this book and it is well worth it because like, what the fuck was that ending? Because like, damn. But really, I feel like we don't see that many people talking about this, and I have like kind of forgotten, and then I remember, then I forget. But I also have another book that she's written, so when I think about that book, then I think about this book. But it is one that's just, you know, it chills on my shelf. It's so little that I don't really think about it that much, but I do remember the experience of reading this book and it was just such a ride. Another book I want to mention is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This is a book I did read because the movie was coming out and I did have a really fun time with this book. Like, it is a good story and I loved the movie so much. Like, they did leave out a few things that I kind of hoped they put in the movie, but they didn't. But overall, both were really good experiences, but I feel like this is a book that I kind of do forget about. And this was like one of the first adult contemporaries I read before I got into them a couple of years later. But I feel like the main thing I forget about is there's like 2 sequels to this series, and I do have After You, but then there's like another one and I'm just like, oh god, what happens in there? Like, why is there another sequel? Like, isn't she trying to like have like her life the best as it can be? And then there's a 3rd book. Like, what more can go wrong in this girl's life? Like, I don't know, but I did really have a lot of fun with this. But as I said, I don't really think about it or mention it in videos that often anymore. The next book I want to talk about is Halo by Alexandra Antoinetto, and this is one that I'm not too sure about because it was hard to pick because I don't forget books. Like, really, like, you might forget a lot of key details, but I don't really forget them. Like, this was really hard to do, but I don't know if this book was really hyped, but I feel like it was big in the day of like Angel book. When Fallen came out and everyone lost their shit over that series, this was an Angel book that kind of came out at the same time, so then people were talking about it. But the way I'm talking about it is the fact that like people obviously read it, but when I think about Angel books, I think about Fallen before I forget about this one, and Halo is kind of a forgotten series for me in that way that it's not the first one that comes to mind. But I did really enjoy this trilogy. Like obviously it does have the same tropey general romantic, you know, when you're young and you enjoyed it, and when you get a bit older you're kind of like, wow, that's a bit lame. But I still had a lot of fun with it, and I liked the characters, and I liked the angel thing, and I also liked like the side angels because they had some like really cool relationships that were happening that was just really, really cool. But I definitely feel like this just gets lumped under the Fallen hype, and not many people talk about it. And the last book I want to mention on this list is Switched by Amanda Hocking, and like this whole trilogy was so hyped in the day and everyone was reading it. Like I feel like it's normal to talk about this though, when like so many of the series like 10 years ago were all the same, but now we've got like a lot more focus on like having the high fantasy and having more diversity and LGBT characters and just having better writing and better story that we're all going to engage in a lot better. So these old school series are like not shit, but they're different and what we used to enjoy but now we don't enjoy as much. Like it's hard to kind of describe, and obviously writing and reading tastes do change. So when I talk about them, if I would read them now, I would probably not like these books as much, but some of them are just always going to be good and you're always going to have that nostalgia factor. But Witched is definitely one that was really, really high up there when people were talking about books about trolls, which you don't ever see in book series. I did really enjoy this, and Loki is like one of my favorite characters still. Like I loved him in this series, and there's been many series that have come out as the years have gone past and the writing has gotten better, but this is one that I don't really think about much anymore. I really feel like I probably didn't do this correctly, but this is the video you guys are gonna get, and hopefully you enjoyed me talking about these books. And like honestly, most of these I haven't mentioned in videos for like, it could have been years, like honestly years since I've mentioned any of these books in videos, so that's probably good too, just to have a little bit more of a difference than the same like 10 books that I normally talk about. But anyway guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and please comment down below some of the books that you like have kind of forgotten about so I can have a bit more of an understanding of this topic, because that would be so helpful. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!